When we think of Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, we picture a powerful statesman, Henry VIII's right-hand man, and one of the most influential churchmen of Tudor England. But did you know that this lofty cardinal had a scandalous secret? Behind the grandeur and power, Wolsey had a mistress and 2 children. Who were they? What became of them? And how did Wolsey balance his faith with his forbidden family? Let's uncover the fascinating and little-known story of Cardinal Wolsey's secret life. Very little is known about Wolsey's relationship with a woman known as Mistress Larke. It's believed she was Joan Lark, who was about 17 years Wolsey's junior. Joan was the daughter of Peter Lark of Huntingdonshire, who in turn was the brother of Catholic priest and martyr John Lark. A Thomas Lark, possibly Joan's brother, served Wolsey as his confessor. Joan lived with Wolsey at his home in Bridewell, a property he'd been granted in 1510. They had 2 children together, Dorothy and Thomas, who were both born between 1510 and 1513. Wolsey acknowledged and provided for both children, but as he rose in the church and at court, he couldn't afford the accusations of fornication and lechery, and so he arranged a marriage for Joan with George Lee of Adlington in Cheshire. Joan had 4 children by George, a son, Thomas, and 3 daughters, Isabel or Elizabeth, Margaret and Mary. Wolsey did not forget her, helping her and her husband in a property dispute with Sir John Stanley, believed to be the illegitimate son of James Stanley, Bishop of Ely. According to author Cathy Lynn Emerson, Wolsey went as far as imprisoning Stanley until he gave up the contested lease. Following Lee's death, Joan married George Paulet, brother of William Paulet, Marquess of Winchester. But what happened to Wolsey's illegitimate children, Dorothy and Thomas? Dorothy was adopted by John Clancy and then became a nun at Shaftesbury Abbey. Thomas, who is known as Thomas Winter, was educated at the University of Louvain and spent time in Padua and Paris, being supported financially by his father before following in Wolsey's footsteps in the church. He held several prebends and rectories and became Dean of Wells, Archdeacon of York, Richmond, Suffolk and Norfolk, Chancellor of Salisbury and Provost of Beverley, all while still in his teens. Not only that, he was also given the mineral rights of Durham, Wolsey's benefice. Winter should have been a wealthy young man, but his biographer Julian Locke writes of how the Lord's articles against Wolsey in 1529 complained that, having lavished benefices worth £2,700 on Winter, Wolsey allowed him an income of only £200 and kept the rest. Do I smell corruption? I think so. Of course, Winter was adversely affected by his father's fall in 1529, having to resign most of his benefices and offices. He was able to remain Archdeacon of York, Canon of Southwell and Provost of Beverley, though. Bishop Stephen Gardiner and Thomas Cromwell acted as his patrons for a time, and Queen Anne Boleyn was kind to him when he returned to England, suffering with financial troubles after a few years in Italy, telling him that he had many friends who wish you well, and to reckon her among that number. Thomas Cromwell loaned him money and helped him to be appointed as Archdeacon of Cornwall in 1537, an office which Winter then leased to another man, Cromwell's servant William Body, for a term of 35 years, something which caused scandal and trouble locally, and then he returned to Italy. Winter was back in England in 1540 as he signed Convocation's decree of the annulment of the king's 4th marriage to Anne of Cleves. With Cromwell's fall that same year, Winter lost a useful patron and a source of finance. We have the last firm record of Winter in 1543, when he resigned as Provost of Beverley and Archdeacon of Cornwall. It is not known what he did after that, whether he stayed in England or returned to Italy, and his date of death is unknown. Cardinal Wolsey, his father, was a man of contradictions. Devout in his religious duties, yet entangled in a relationship that defied the vows he took as a priest. His hidden family, especially his children Dorothy and Thomas Winter, offer us a rare glimpse into the personal life of one of the most powerful men in Tudor England. From arranging his mistress's marriage to providing for his children's futures, Wolsey's actions show a complex blend of responsibility and political manoeuvring, and a bit of nepotism and corruption too. What do you think about this revelation? Can we admire Wolsey's ambition while acknowledging his flaws? Let me know your thoughts. And if you love delving into the hidden stories of Tudor history, do remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see you next time for more Tudor trivia. Take care. Bye-bye.